Sony has achieved greater heights with each subsequent generation of consoles, but it's always worth looking back on where it all began, the PlayStation 1. Despite being relatively new to the market, it shook up the gaming world with incredible exclusives, both first and third party, that remain relevant even today. So let's look at 15 of the best PS1 titles of all time, starting with number 15, Need for Speed High Stakes. When players still had some measure of sympathy and expectations from Electronic Arts, the Need for Speed series delivered its fourth title, High Stakes. It featured some new additions to the time-worn formula, including realistic damage, a deeper hot pursuit mode where players could control the police, and tournaments. High Stakes also pushed the limits of risk versus reward, resulting in some real high stakes, pun fully intended, yes.
Dispatch, this is 37. I have visual contact with suspect vehicle.
Roger that. Engage pursuit.
Copy. Pursuit is a go.
Number 14, Soul Edge. Before there was Soul Calibur, it all began in 1996. Weapons-based 3D fighters were still relatively new, yet Soul Edge offered numerous innovations. The most notable were the guard impact for pushing back against enemy attacks and initiating counterattacks, losing your weapon upon depleting the weapon gauge and knocking opponents out of the ring. While steps behind the Soul Calibur school of weapon fighting, Soul Edge laid the foundation. Out of the ring. Number 13, Wipeout 3. When a game like this could be rated so highly despite the lack of new content or innovations compared to its predecessors, you know it's something special. Case in point, Wipeout 3, with its sleek visuals, fast-paced anti-gravity racing, and new weapons. Of course, the music also, with famous artists like the Chemical Brothers and DJ Sasha, was no slouch either, elevating the futuristic atmosphere to new levels. Number 12, Syphon Filter.
You'll be dropped into the strike zone when the firefight begins. You'll have an hour to find your targets and take them out.
Do the locals know what they're dealing with?
Before it dabbled with the open world and zombies, Ben's studio, known as IDECT at the time, dabbled in stealth action with Syphon Filter. Mixing third-person combat with puzzle solving and sneaking, especially in the sheer variety of tools and weapons, its presentation and visuals resulted in a surprisingly fun experience with extensive replay value. Number 11, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey. Puzzle platformers were far from a new thing, but Oddworld Inhabitants' debut title was anything but typical. Its sci-fi setting and intriguing premise immediately stood out, while its unorthodox gameplay, characterized by stealth and avoiding direct conflict, made for a challenging yet rewarding experience. Even with its difficulty and frustrating save system, Oddworld Abe's Odyssey went against the trends of action gaming for an unforgettable experience. Number 10, Tomb Raider 2. The first game broke new ground with its third-person shooting and action platforming, featuring an iconic female leading character. And while the short turnaround could have resulted in core design phoning things in, it offered improvements on nearly every front. More enemy variety, increased detail for Lara Croft, new movement options, extensive level variety, and much more were included, resulting in a superior sequel. Number 9, Ape Escape. One of the most underrated video game franchises that sorely needs a comeback. The premise is simple. Capture hyper-intelligent monkeys through time and stop them from altering history. You know, the normal. Wrangling the apes meant reading their intentions, which their helmets provided, but the real innovation was in leveraging the new DualShock.
Hi-ya! Ya! Ya!
It wouldn't be the same without the analog stick-focused controls, but Ape Escape still won over fans with its incredible presentation and tight gameplay. Number 8, Tekken 2. While still a ways from full 3D environments, the latest King of the Iron Fist tournament dug deeper into its fighting game fundamentals, resulting in more intricate strategies and combos. The roster was expanded and felt better than ever, while several new modes were introduced, including Time Attack, Survival, and Team Battle. Of course, the fact that it looked so darn good was the cherry on top.
Fight!
Number 7, Gran Turismo 2. The PlayStation 1 era had its titles that debuted and became hits, but those same properties would receive sequels that improved on the original immensely. Gran Turismo 2 is the best example here, adding many more tracks and cars, nearly 650 in total, while throwing in new options like rally racing and separate events. While it didn't feature the biggest changes to the overall driving, prioritizing more content instead, it's still one of the best racing sims ever. Number 6. Crash Team Racing. Doubtless dismissed by some as yet another Mario Kart clone, Crash Team Racing served as an incredible title in its own right. The power slide mechanic offered more nuance and risk versus reward mechanics, while the adventure mode offered a proper story, complete with boss fights. Toss in several other unique modes like Relic Race and the CTR Challenge with some genuinely incredible tracks, and Crash Team Racing still sticks out as one of the best kart racing games ever made. Number 5. Resident Evil 1 Director's Cut. Capcom's first entry in the survival horror franchise was already pretty monumental in its own right, even with the laughable voice acting. Nevertheless, the director's cut made it even better with Arrange mode, which completely changes items and enemy placements to challenge veteran players. It also featured faster zombies, weapon changes, the restoration of auto-targeting, and even a beginner mode, making it the definitive Resident Evil experience, before the director's cut DualShock version of course. Number 4. Silent Hill.
How do you feel?
Oh, like I've been run over by a truck. But I'm alright, I guess.
Glad to hear it. You from around here? Why don't you tell me what happened?
Konami's sequel often gets the most attention, but it's easy to forget how much the first Silent Hill paved the way. The storytelling, the atmospheric use of fog, the unsettling atmosphere, and myriad horrors, the various endings, just so much of it landed so well. It was the perfect alternative to Resident Evil and further cemented the PS1 as a console for more mature games. Number 3. Suikoden 2. While everyone was wowed by Final Fantasy's jump into the 3D space, Konami delivered yet another incredible entry in the Suikoden franchise. The premise once again centered on gathering the 108 Stars of Destiny, but the gameplay further improved the rune system while adding new minigames and nuance to the larger conflicts. With one of the best stories in RPG history, combined with an incredible roster of characters, Suikoden 2 remains as integral to the genre as ever. Number 2. Final Fantasy VII. Of course, there's truly no discounting just how instrumental Final Fantasy VII was to the PS1 success. The stunning pre-rendered cinematics, including the iconic opening sequence with Aerith, drew in newcomers and even non-RPG fans alike. Many would stay for the ATB-based combat, the characters, the setting, and the story, which took them on a journey for the ages. Deciding the best Final Fantasy is always an arduous task, but as a complete package, Final Fantasy VII easily rates near the top. Number 1. Metal Gear Solid.
You were killed in Zanzibar. What? Not again.
I mean, come on, was there really ever any doubt, truly? Say what you will about Konami's legendary franchise, the absurdity of some plot twists, the disappointment of the Phantom Pain story, etc. However, no one can deny the first game's impact on the PlayStation 1 and the stealth action genre in general, or that it seamlessly translated the Metal Gear gameplay style from the MSX2 era into full 3D. It also raised the bar on cinematic storytelling in video games, from the cinematography to the extensive cutscenes and voice acting. Whether it marked your foray into the world of PlayStation or not, Metal Gear Solid remains a work of art and an essential piece of the PlayStation 1's library. So, what are your thoughts on this? Go ahead and share them in the comments below. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon to get new video updates. We upload every day and would really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.